Hello, Attorney Prashanti.
Hello.
We are a couple with Canadian citizenship. Country of birth is India. My spouse has an H1B visa stamp, but an I-140 still needs to be filed. We wondered if returning to the US and leaving the stability is worth the move, which is the best route for us to work in the US.
So this is not really an immigration question. It's question about life in the U.S. versus life in Canada, and you'll find many posts. I'm sure many people will respond to that if you ask them their experiences. Um, but if you're asking me if the process doable, is it stable? Yes, it's definitely a doable process. It's an easy immigration process. Most often than not, people don't have issues. Of course, there are always issues sometimes. So you can file, you can come in on a H1, you can remain on a H1. But of course, you should know that it's not that easy to get a green card in the US if you're an Indian national, as opposed to in Canada, where you can get a green card much more easily. In the US, the wait times are daunting for a person who's a Indian national because the visa numbers are not available for the next many years unless something changes there. So you have to be willing to stay on a H1 for many years. So if you're willing to do that, and also I must add that it's not H1 is not an easy status to maintain, in the sense that there are a lot of regulations, a lot of rules, a lot of things that have to be done, and that have to be done in a timely manner, and also things that are out of your control because it's employer driven. So while many people stay on a H1 successfully for many years, it's not the best visa to be on, but that's the only visa for most popularly or mostly used work visa in the US. So that's my take on the situation.
So I think in this case, since they said Canadian, both are Canadian citizens. So one is coming on an H1, and the one of the other spouse, they still take the advantage of a TN visa as opposed to coming here on an H4 having no work permit because the 140 is not filed in this case. Is there a possibility, or they have to still accompany the H1B spouse as an H4?
No, they can be independent of their spouse if they get a separate job offer, and they can certainly come on a TN, and that way maybe uh, diversify their visa from their spouse so that if something happens to either visas, you can fall back. You have an option to fall back on the other person's status.
Thank you for answering that question.